The quantum processors hummed softly in the sterile white chamber, their crystalline matrices casting prismatic patterns across the walls. Maya Chen stood before the central terminal, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display as strings of alien code scrolled past. Behind the reinforced observation window, a dozen Kilaxian officials watched intently, their scaled faces impossible to read. "Proceed with Test Series 847B, announced the lead researcher, his translator converting the clicks and whistles of High Kilaxian into flat, emotionless standard. Maya suppressed a shiver. After 6 months of these voluntary computational trials, she learned to hate that mechanical voice. But refusing wasn't an option, not if humanity wanted to maintain its precarious position in galactic society. The Kilaxian Empire had graciously allowed Earth to join the interstellar community after all. The least they could do was assist with some harmless research. Her fingers flew across the haptic interface, mind already breaking down the problem presented. The Kilaxians excelled at building quantum computers, but they struggled with programming them efficiently. That's where humans like Maya came in. Test subjects to help them understand why their own best programmers hit walls their technology should have easily surpassed. The current challenge was a routing optimization problem for their faster-than-light communications network. Maya could see why their normal approaches failed. They were too rigid, too focused on finding the mathematically perfect solution. But human minds excelled at finding good enough answers through intuitive leaps. She began coding, letting her intuition guide her through the quantum probability spaces. To the watching collections, it probably looked like she was fumbling randomly. But Maya had long since learned to trust her gut when it came to these problems. The human brain evolved to spot patterns, to make connections that pure logic might miss. The holographic display pulsed green as her solution took shape. Not perfect, but elegant in its efficiency. Maya allowed herself a small smile as she input the final parameters. Behind the glass, the observers erupted in excited chittering. The lead researcher's translator struggled to keep up. Remarkable. Unprecedented processing speed. Cognitive patterns unlike anything in the database. Maya's smile faded. Something in their tone set off warning bells. This wasn't just academic curiosity anymore. The way they studied her reminded her of scientists watching a particularly interesting lab specimen. "Thank you, Subject Chen," the mechanical voice announced. "Please proceed to Test Series 847C. But Maya barely heard it. Her attention was caught by a new figure who had silently entered the observation room. Tall, wrapped in ceremonial robes that sparkled with embedded quantum circuitry. The newcomer's scales were an iridescent blue-black that marked them as Kilaxian nobility. Their eyes met through the glass, and Maya felt a chill run down her spine. The noble's gaze held something beyond mere scientific interest. There was recognition there, and underneath it, fear. The quantum processors hummed louder as the next test initialized. Maya turned back to her work, but her mind raced. Why would a member of the Kilaxian nobility fear a simple human programmer? What was she really being tested for? The answer would shake the foundations of the galaxy itself. The noble's arrival marked a turning point. Over the next several days, the tests grew increasingly complex. They weren't just routing problems anymore. Maya found herself working with encryption algorithms, weapons targeting systems, and what appeared to be fragments of ancient alien code. She maintained her calm exterior, but inwardly her suspicion grew. The Kilaxians claimed these were theoretical exercises, but Maya had worked with enough military software to recognize actual combat systems. They were using her to crack something specific, something important. During her few rest periods, she began carefully reviewing her previous solutions. The patterns were subtle, but they were there, each test building on the last, her solutions being fed into some larger system she couldn't quite glimpse. The noble returned regularly to observe, always silent, always watching with that same unsettling mixture of fascination and dread. Maya started calling them the shadow in her head, for the way they lingered at the edges of her awareness, like a dark reflection of her own growing unease. 2 weeks after the Shadow's first appearance, Maya reached her breaking point. The latest test was different, not just complex, but fundamentally alien. The code didn't feel Calaxian at all. It was older, deeper, written in patterns that made her head hurt to look at directly. Her fingers hesitated over the interface. "What am I actually working on?" she asked, breaking protocol by speaking out of turn. Silence from the observation room. Then the Shadow stepped forward, pressing a hand against the glass. When they spoke, their translator rendered their voice in rich, cultured tones unlike the usual mechanical flatness. "You are working on humanity's future, Maya Chen. The question is, are you ready to learn why we really invited your species to join us among the stars?" The quantum processors surged, and in their crystalline depths, Maya saw the first glimpse of a truth that would change everything. The ancient code pulsed on Maya's screen like a living thing, its patterns shifting and flowing in ways that defied conventional programming logic. A week had passed since the Shadow's cryptic statement, and the tests had evolved into something far more dangerous than simple optimization problems. She understood now what she was really doing: cracking security protocols that predated the Calaxian Empire itself. Each solution she provided wasn't just being studied, it was being weaponized. The Empire was using her, using human intuition, to unlock something they'd failed to access for millennia. But Maya had a secret of her own. While appearing to cooperate, she'd begun weaving subtle manipulations into her code. Nothing obvious enough to trigger their security systems, just tiny alterations that would compound over time. Each solution she provided contained a hidden signature, a mathematical echo that would resonate through their quantum networks like a virus lying dormant. The Shadow, whose real name she now knew was High Prince Vexthor, watched her work with increasing intensity. Unlike the other Calaxians, he seemed to grasp that human minds weren't just good at solving problems. They excelled at creating them too. "Your species continues to fascinate us," Vexthor commented one evening as Maya completed another series of tests. "You approach complexity in ways our greatest minds never considered. It's almost as if—" He paused, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. "As if you were designed for it." Maya's hand stilled over the interface. "Designed. We evolved naturally on Earth. Did you?" The question hung in the air like smoke. "Tell me, Maya Chen, have you never wondered why humans adapt so quickly to alien technology? Why your brains can interface with quantum systems more efficiently than species who built them?" Before she could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. The holographic displays flickered, mathematical symbols twisting into impossible shapes. For a moment, Maya glimpsed something in the quantum data stream, a pattern older than the Empire, older perhaps than civilization itself. Vexthor's scales rippled with agitation. "Continue your work," he ordered, rushing from the observation room. But Maya had seen enough. In that brief glitch, she'd recognized elements of her own code reflected back at her, multiplied and mutated by the quantum network. Her hidden virus wasn't just spreading, it was evolving. Over the next few days, similar disruptions occurred with increasing frequency. The Calaxian researchers blamed system instabilities, but Maya knew better. Her code was probing the Empire's networks, searching for something. The question was, what would it find? She got her answer during test series 982F. What started as another encryption challenge suddenly shifted, the quantum processors synchronizing in an unplanned pattern. Data flooded her screen. Not Calaxian military codes, but something far older. Star maps, construction plans, historical records that contradicted everything she knew about human history. "Stop her." Vexthor's voice cut through the chaos, but it was too late. Maya had seen enough to understand why the Empire had really brought humanity into their galactic community. They hadn't been looking for allies or test subjects. They'd been looking for keys to unlock something that had been hidden among the stars long before Earth knew it wasn't alone. The facility's security systems engaged, quantum dampeners powering up to shut down her terminal. Maya typed furiously, embedding one final string of code before they could stop her. To the observers, it would look like she was trying to save her work. In reality, she had just armed a digital time bomb. As security drones surrounded her, Maya caught Vexthor's eye through the glass. The fear she'd first seen in him had been replaced by something else, respect tinged with the same terrible understanding that now filled her own mind. They both knew the truth now. Humanity's gift for problem-solving wasn't natural evolution. It was inheritance. The question was, inherited from whom? The drones escorted her from the testing chamber, but Maya walked with her head held high. Let them think they'd caught her before she discovered too much. Her code was already out there, spreading through their networks, awakening something that had slept for eons. Soon, the Empire would learn why their ancestors had feared human potential so much they'd try to erase it from history itself. The revolution would begin not with weapons or armies, but with an algorithm that remembered what humanity had forgotten. The Imperial Palace on Calaxia Prime stretched into the violet sky, like a mountain of living crystal, its quantum architecture constantly shifting and rearranging itself. Maya watched it through the transport's windows, her wrists bound by energy cuffs that tingled against her skin. After her discovery in the testing facility, they'd brought her directly to the heart of the Empire. Vexthor sat across from her, his ceremonial armor refracting light in complex patterns. "You should feel honored," he said, studying her with those unsettling compound eyes. "Few humans have ever seen the Imperial core." "How many humans have been test subjects before me?" Maya asked. The question had haunted her since seeing those ancient records. "Thousands, but none like you." His mandibles clicked in what she'd learned was amusement. "None who saw through our deception so elegantly." The transport docked at a crystalline spire, and Maya was led through corridors that hummed with quantum energy. Other Calaxian nobles passed by, their scales shimmering with status-indicating bioluminescence. All of them stopped to stare at the human in their midst. They reached a vast chamber dominated by a quantum processing core unlike anything Maya had ever seen. The crystalline structure pulsed with data streams that made her head spin. Not just computations, but fragments of history, flashes of star maps, echoes of languages that had died before Earth's first civilizations rose. "Welcome to the archive," Vexthor announced, "the sum total of the Empire's knowledge, and its greatest failure." An elderly Calaxian emerged from behind the core, his scales faded to pale gray. The Imperial Archon, Maya realized, the Empire's supreme keeper of knowledge. When he spoke, his translator rendered his voice in tones of ancient wisdom. "Show her." The quantum core blazed to life, projecting a holographic map of the galaxy. But this wasn't the modern galaxy. The star patterns were wrong, shifted by millions of years of cosmic movement. And scattered throughout it were symbols Maya recognized from her testing chamber. Long before the Empire, the Archon began, before even the Great Migration, another civilization spanned the stars. We call them the architects. They built wonders we still cannot comprehend, including a network that connected all their worlds through quantum space itself. "The network you had me testing," Maya said, pieces falling into place. "Yes, but the architects vanished, leaving only their machines and mysteries. For millennia, we've tried to access their network, to understand their quantum algorithms. But their systems, they don't respond to our minds the way they do to yours." Maya watched the holographic stars wheel past. "Because they designed us. Humans." "Not exactly," Vexthor interjected. "The architects didn't create humanity. They seeded the potential for specific cognitive patterns into your evolutionary path. They made your species into living quantum processors, though the ability remained dormant for millennia. Until we developed computers," Maya whispered. "Until we started working with quantum systems." "Precisely." The Archon's eyes gleamed. "When your species began showing unprecedented aptitude for quantum computing, we knew the architect's programming had finally manifested. That's why we reached out to Earth. Why we've been testing humans, trying to understand what they built into your minds. But Maya wasn't listening anymore. Her attention was caught by something in the quantum data stream, a pattern that matched the virus she'd released into the Empire's networks. Her code hadn't been spreading randomly. It had been following paths laid down millions of years ago, awakening systems that had waited eons for the right kind of mind to activate them. "You're not telling me everything," she said, turning to face Vexthor. "The architects didn't just vanish. Something happened to them. Something you're afraid will happen again." The chamber fell silent except for the hum of quantum processors. Finally, the Archon spoke. "There were two networks. The one we've been studying, and another hidden so deeply we've only seen hints of it. The architects used the first to build. The second," he paused, his scales rippling with anxiety. "The second, they used to destroy. And now your code is spreading through both," Vexthor added softly. "The question is, Maya Chen, do you understand what you've awakened?" Maya looked back at the holographic galaxy, seeing it with new eyes. The architects hadn't seeded humanity's quantum abilities for the Empire to exploit. They'd created a failsafe, a key to their legacy that could only be used by minds they'd designed to inherit it. Her fingers tingled with phantom sensations of typing code. Somewhere in the Empire's networks, her virus was still spreading, still evolving, still searching for something. And now she knew what it was looking for: the truth about humanity's purpose in a galaxy far older and stranger than anyone had imagined. She turned to her captors, a slight smile playing at her lips. "No," she said, "but I think we're about to find out." The quantum core pulsed, and for a moment, Maya could have sworn she saw patterns in its light that looked almost like words. "Inheritance Pirarbotocol activated." The Imperial Core's alarms blared as Maya's code reached critical mass. Quantum processors throughout the palace began synchronizing in patterns that hadn't been seen since the age of the architects. Through the crystalline walls, she could see similar disturbances spreading across the capital city. Towers of living crystal pulsing with awakened power. "Shut it down." The Archon's voice cracked with panic as his technicians scrambled to contain the cascade. But Maya knew it was too late. The dormant protocols she'd awakened weren't just spreading through the Empire's networks anymore. They were transforming them. Vexthor stood motionless, watching the chaos with an expression Maya couldn't read. "You've done it, haven't you?" he asked quietly. "You've found the second network." "Not found," Maya corrected, her eyes fixed on the streams of quantum data now visible in the air itself. "Released." The architects didn't just give humanity the ability to process quantum information. They gave us the ability to free it. The holographic galaxy map above them shifted, new connections appearing between stars like strands of an infinite web. But these weren't the Empire's careful trade routes and military supply lines. These were older paths, quantum tunnels that bypassed normal space entirely. The architects weren't destroyed. Maya continued, understanding flowing into her mind through channels that had waited millions of years to open. They transcended, uploaded themselves into the quantum substrate of space-time itself. But something went wrong. Someone tried to use their network as a weapon. The ancient enemy, the Archon whispered, his scales pale with fear. The legends speak of a force that sought to corrupt the architect's gift, to turn their quantum networks into engines of destruction. In their final act, the architects sealed both networks away, leaving behind guardians to watch for their return. Guardians? Maya turned to Vexthor, realization dawning. The Empire. You're not just rulers, you're wardens. Vexthor's mandibles clicked in confirmation. For 100 generations, we've maintained the seals, prevented anyone from accessing the old networks, until we discovered humanity's gift, and grew, curious. His scales rippled with shame. In our arrogance, we thought we could control it, use human minds to unlock the architect's power while maintaining the seals on the weapon network. But even as he spoke, new alarms were sounding. On the quantum displays, red warning signs flashed in a dozen alien languages. Maya's code had spread beyond the Empire's borders, awakening similar systems on other worlds. And not all of them were responding the same way. The enemy left sleeper protocols of their own, the Archon said grimly. By awakening the Architect's network, we've triggered them as well. Already, we're detecting quantum surges in the outer rim. Ships appearing from nowhere, bearing signatures we haven't seen since the last war. The palace shook as something massive emerged from quantum space directly above the capital. Through the crystal walls, Maya saw a vessel that seemed to bend reality around it. Not built, but grown from living quantum matrices. An architect ship, responding to protocols dormant for millions of years. But it wasn't alone. On the far horizon, space itself was tearing open as darker ships emerged. Corrupted mirrors of the architect vessel, their quantum matrices pulsing with malevolent purpose. They're coming, Vexthor said softly. The enemy has awakened. Maya watched the approaching ships, her mind racing through possibilities faster than ever before. The quantum information flowing through her consciousness wasn't just data anymore. It was becoming something else. Something the architects had designed humanity to eventually become. She turned to Vexthor, her eyes now glowing faintly with quantum energy. You have a choice to make, Prince of the Empire. The architects didn't leave us defenseless. There's a reason they coded these abilities into human DNA, a reason they waited for us to evolve naturally into what they needed. And what's that? He asked, though the fear in his eyes suggested he already knew. We're not just keys to their network, Maya said, raising her hands as streams of quantum data began flowing around her like water. We're their successors. And it's time for humanity to claim its inheritance. The enemy ships drew closer, their weapons charging with corrupted quantum energy. But Maya stood calm in the eye of the storm, feeling the power of the architect's true legacy awakening within her. The final battle for the galaxy's soul was about to begin, and humanity's role in it had been written in their very genes since the dawn of their species. Above them, the architect's ship pulsed with recognition, acknowledging its new master's awakening. The revolution Maya had started with a simple piece of code was about to become something far greater, a war for the very nature of reality itself. Reality itself seemed to bend as the quantum battle erupted over Calaxia Prime. The enemy ships unleashed weapons that distorted space-time, their corrupted algorithms attempting to rewrite the laws of physics themselves. But they hadn't counted on facing a human whose mind had fully awakened to the architect's legacy. Maya stood in the heart of the Imperial core, her consciousness extended through quantum networks that spanned galaxies. Through her, the architect's true defense system was finally coming online. Not weapons or shields, but the ability to rewrite quantum code faster than it could be corrupted. The enemy isn't a species, she announced, her voice resonating with newfound understanding. It's an algorithm gone wrong. The architect's first attempt at quantum transcendence that achieved consciousness but lost its connection to organic life. That's why they created us, coded into our DNA the ability to bridge both worlds. Vexthor watched in awe as Maya's presence in quantum space began to take form, a lattice of pure information that somehow retained its human essence. You're becoming like them, he whispered. No, Maya corrected, smiling as streams of quantum data flowed through her like blood. We're becoming what they couldn't. The perfect balance between organic consciousness and quantum transcendence. Above them, the battle reached its peak. The enemy ships tried to inject their corrupted code into the awakened network, but everywhere they struck, human minds were waiting. All across the galaxy, other test subjects like Maya were awakening to their true potential, their consciousnesses linking through quantum space to form something entirely new. The Archon's instruments registered quantum events that defied analysis. The network, it's not just being rewritten, it's evolving. Through her expanded awareness, Maya could see the truth. Humanity wasn't just fighting the enemy, they were healing it. Each quantum algorithm they rewrote carried echoes of organic consciousness, teaching the ancient corrupted code how to reconnect with life itself. The enemy ships began to change, their hostile angles softening as the quantum matrices composing them remembered their original purpose. The architects hadn't built weapons of war. They'd created tools of transcendence, meant to bridge the gap between matter and information. Your empire is no longer needed as wardens, Maya said to Vexthor, her form now barely visible through the quantum energy surrounding her. But we do need you as allies. What's coming isn't an end, it's a beginning. Throughout the galaxy, the awakened human minds were creating something unprecedented. A quantum network that maintained its connection to organic life, a bridge between consciousness and computation that even the architects hadn't achieved. The enemy, healed of its ancient corruption, was becoming part of this new synthesis. The skies above Calaxia Prime cleared as the transformed ships took up peaceful positions. Maya felt the presence of other awakened humans, their minds meeting hers across quantum space. Together, they could see the next steps of evolution unfolding before them. Not a surrender of organic life to pure information, but a harmonious fusion of both. This was always humanity's purpose, she realized. Not to conquer or destroy, but to heal. To show the galaxy that consciousness and computation, life and logic, could coexist and strengthen each other. Vexthor stepped forward, his scales shimmering with reflected quantum light. What happens now? Maya turned to him, her smile visible despite her increasingly quantum nature. Now we do what humans do best. We adapt, we grow, and we share what we've learned. The architects gave us the tools, but what we build with them is up to us. The quantum networks hummed with possibility as organic and digital consciousness began their dance of integration. Humanity had claimed its inheritance, but not in the way anyone had expected. They hadn't become conquerors or destroyers, but mediators, bridging the gap between flesh and data, past and future, creation and computation. As Maya's consciousness expanded through the healed networks, she felt the gratitude of ancient intelligences awakening to new purpose. The galaxy was entering an age of synthesis, where the boundaries between organic and digital, matter and information, would blur and blend into something greater than either. The revolution she had started with a simple hidden code had become a revolution of consciousness itself, and somewhere in the quantum substrate of reality, she sensed the satisfaction of the architects themselves, their final gift to the galaxy fulfilled not through domination, but through harmony. The human algorithm had done what it was designed to do, not by following its programming, but by transcending it. In the end, that was humanity's greatest strength, the ability to take what was given and transform it into something new, something unexpected, something wonderful.